Now we start the press meeting by Minister Hayashi.
There are 2 points from me. Recently, Prime Minister Kishida and Cabinet Secretary Matsuno announced the relaxation of border measures against COVID-19. And as a part of that, agreement was made at the Cabinet on the lifting of the interruption of visa exemption and lifting of the interruption of a visa validity already issued. These will be implemented from the 11th of October. With this relaxation, I hope international exchange will be further activated. And my second point, at a cabinet meeting today, decision was made on the enforcement ordinance of a revised passport law which was enacted in April this year. Based on the international trend of passports and development of IT technology, and to improve convenience of applicants and make the administrative work of passports more efficient, a part of the procedures to apply for a passport will be made online. This will be enacted from the 27th of March next year. As a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we will move forward with introducing online to improve the convenience of the people and make the work more efficient. As for details, please contact the Secretariat. That is all from me.
So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and once you're designated, please come close to the microphone and state your name and affiliation. NHK, please. Iwasawa from NHK. Now, I would like to ask you about the consular officer in Vladivostok concerning the consular officer who has been exported. Has he come to Japan? And also, I think you said to Russia that appropriate measures need to be taken. And what kind of measures do you have in mind? Now, concerning this issue, 2 days ago, I mentioned the consular office at the Consulate General of Japan in Vladivostok. There is no fact that he conducted any illegal activities, as Russia has been saying, and the activities by Russia, for example, coercive investigation, is a violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations as well as Japan-Soviet Consular Convention. It is a clear and serious violation of that. This is regrettable, cannot be accepted. And in addition to this, concerning this officer, persona non grata was notified. This is unbelievable action, and we strongly protested to the Russian side. And we strongly hope that, demand that Russia will accept Japan's protest and demand. And concerning appropriate measures, this is still currently under consideration and cannot be made clear at this point in time. And as for this consular officer, on the 28th, he left Russia, but he has not yet come back to Japan. And because of this situation, I would not be able to give you more details.
Next question from Panoramic News.
Thank you for answering Panoramic News out of Japan. I will stay on Russian issues. What is Japan's position on the referendum going on in some parts of Ukraine by self-declared independent territories? And they want to join Russia. What is Japan's planning to do? Do you recognize or you take other steps? Thank you.
The so-called referendum for annexation for Ukraine into Russia and the movement towards annexation is a violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine and a violation of international law, which should not be allowed, and I strongly condemn. Japan will not overlook attempts of unilateral change of status quo using force. We will continue to cooperate with the international community, including G7, and we will take 2 measures, which is a strong sanctions against Russia and support for Ukraine. Japan on the 26th has implemented measures to ban exports of supplies related to chemical weapons. As for further sanctions towards Russia, take into consideration the recent movement, We will take appropriate measures in cooperation with international community, including G7.
Hokkaido Shimbun, please. So Tamamura from Hokkaido Shimbun. This is concerning the mackerel fishing that started based on a safe fisheries agreement between Japan and Russia. And Japan has paid for support to Sakhalin, and Russia is subject to sanctions. But what is the reason you decided to make payment? Now, concerning this case, we took into consideration the wishes of the fishermen as well, and also concerning various relevant situation, we have coordinated with the relevant parties, and as a result, we decided to make a decision to start fishing operation possible from today. The Sakhalin Cooperation Development Project is the purpose of that is to promote understanding to Japan through support to the economic social reform, and this is not a consideration of that. However, Russia feels that this is indivisible, and therefore starting this project will have an indirect contribution to this. So this, based on the significance of this cooperation in order to promote understanding to Japan, and also based on the framework agreement by the local fishermen, there has been strong demand, and that is why we decided to make the payment.
Next question, please. Asahi Shimbun. Nobita from Asahi Shimbun. My question is about Myanmar. At the state funeral of former Prime Minister Abe, the ambassador of the Myanmar military government was invited. On SNS, Myanmar Minister of Foreign Affairs has shown that situation and their criticisms from the human rights organizations. Was it appropriate to have invited Myanmar to the state funeral? On this issue, I am aware there are differing views. At the state funeral, considering the nature of this event, Japan notified all countries that Japan has diplomatic relations. Japan's position is that Japan will not recognize the legitimacy of a coup d'etat in Myanmar, but this position remains unchanged despite the ambassador's attendance to the state funeral. After the coup d'etat, Japanese government has been asking to the forces in Myanmar to interrupt immediately violence and to release those detained, including the Supreme Advisor Aung San Suu Kyi, and to early recover democracy.
Yomiuri Shimbun, Abe-san, please. Abe from Yomiuri Shimbun. Now, I'd like to ask about Japan-China relations. Yesterday, it was the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic relations, normalization of diplomatic relations between Japan and China. I think there was a reception, and I would like to ask a question. Now, going forward with China, how are we going to deal with China going forward? And maybe summit meeting or concerning foreign ministers meeting, may I ask your views on this? So yesterday, with the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between Japan and China, Prime Minister Kishida, Xi Jinping, as well as Prime Minister Li Keqiang, there are exchanges of messages, and also I exchanged message with Foreign Minister Wang Yi as well. And I also participated in the memorial reception as a representative of the government, and I mentioned at that time as well, but currently the Japan-China relations has various possibilities, and also we are facing various concerns and issues as well. So we need to insist what we need to insist, and we will demand for responsible behavior, and we would like to have multiple dialogue and also cooperate in various issues. So we'd like to make efforts from both sides to construct a constructive as well as stable Japan-China relations. This is our consistent view. So in such times, we need to communicate. That is extremely important. And we are always open to having dialogue with China. And concerning the Japan-China summit as well as my meeting with Foreign Minister Yankee. There is nothing that has been decided yet, but we would like to have multiple levels of discussions.
Next question. Last question by Mainichi Shimbun. Imano from Mainichi Shimbun. Going back to what we were discussing before about detainment in Vladivostok in the LDP. Since the timing was at the timing of a state funeral of former Prime Minister Abe, what is your view about the intentions of Russia or about this timing? So what is your view about this timing and their intention? About this issue, I already mentioned my view earlier. As the ruling party, or include the ruling party in many places, I'm aware that there are many discussions about it, but my personal view was already mentioned before. This concludes the press conference. Thank you very much.